I wanted to surprise my husband, Michael. When I opened the door, no one was in the living room. From the master bedroom, I heard the whispering voice of my mother-in-law. Sharon, the other one has to go to private school. The tuition is tens of thousands of dollars a year. You can't neglect that. My father-in-law, Richard, sighed. How do we explain it to Sarah? And if she finds out, so what? Is she going to file for divorce? Sharon's voice dripped with its usual sarcasm. The twins are already 6 years old. Do you think she's going to let her sons grow up without a father? I was standing on the other side of the door, and the cake I was holding slipped from my hands and crashed to the floor. The whipped cream and strawberries scattered, just like my shattered heart. That night, Michael came home as if nothing had happened, kissed me on the forehead, and handed me a box with a necklace. Honey, happy 7th anniversary. I gazed at his kind smile and remembered what I had heard that afternoon. I felt sick to my stomach. The entire family knew. I was the only one living in ignorance. He had another family, other children, and I was the only fool in this game. At 3 a.m., the alarm went off. Sarah reached out a hand with her eyes still closed to turn it off, granting herself 3 more minutes in bed. It was the only moment of the day that belonged entirely to her. 3 minutes when she wasn't a wife, a mother, or a daughter-in-law. At 3:03, she got up and got ready in silence. The woman in the mirror was 35 years old. Fine lines were already appearing at the corners of her eyes, but her skin was still smooth, a result of the hundreds of dollars she spent monthly at the spa. In the master bedroom, her husband, Michael, was still asleep. He was on his side, breathing at a steady rhythm. A ray of morning sun peeked through the gap in the curtains, illuminating his face. He was still an attractive man. They had been married for 7 years. His hairline had receded slightly, but he maintained a good physique thanks to 3 weekly sessions at the gym. Sarah watched him for a moment. Then she went to the kids' room. The twins, Ethan and Liam, were sleeping soundly. Their 6-year-old faces were identical, framed by long eyelashes. Sarah's heart softened. She leaned in and kissed their foreheads. "Mommy," Ethan murmured sleepily. "Keep sleeping. It's still early," Sarah whispered. In the kitchen, her mother-in-law, Sharon, was already making breakfast. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and toast filled the air. "Good morning, Mom," Sarah said, rolling up her sleeves. "I've got it. You don't have to. Wake up the boys," Sharon said without turning around. "They have an activity at school today, and I don't want them to be late." Her tone was neutral, but Sarah detected a slight coldness. Her mother-in-law had always been like this, polite but distant. There had always been a barrier between them. In 7 years, they had never argued, but they had never become close either. At 7 a.m., the whole family was sitting at the table. Michael was reading the news on his phone. His father, Richard, was reading the newspaper. The twins chattered excitedly about a drawing contest at school. "Dad, will you come see us at the contest?" Ethan asked. Michael looked up and smiled apologetically. "Sorry, champs. Dad has an important meeting today. Next time, I promise." "You always say next time," Liam pouted. "This time it's for real," Michael said, ruffling his hair. "I'll take you guys to McDonald's for dinner tonight. How does that sound?" "Yay!" the 2 boys exclaimed, instantly beaming. Sarah watched the scene, and a strange feeling tightened in her chest again. Michael was a good father, or at least he appeared to be in the eyes of others. But in recent months, his absences had become more frequent. Parent-teacher conferences, family activity days, weekend outings, he always had an excuse. "Honey, you look pale," Michael said suddenly. "Lack of sleep, maybe?" Sarah replied, taking a sip of her coffee. "Don't push yourself so hard. Leave some of the work for others at the office," Michael said, putting a piece of toast on her plate. "You're a department head now. You don't have to do everything yourself." He knew it well. Sarah was a manager at a multinational corporation and had a good salary. When she got pregnant, her mother-in-law had advised her to quit her job, saying that Michael's family could easily support her. She had refused, insisting on continuing to work. Because of this, her relationship with her mother-in-law had always remained cool. After dropping the kids off at school, Sarah drove to the office. While waiting at a red light, she noticed a long strand of hair on the passenger seat. It was dyed green and slightly wavy. It wasn't hers. She picked it up and examined it for a long time. Michael never gave female colleagues a ride in the passenger seat. He had told her so himself. Whose was it? Her phone rang. It was Michael. "Honey, I might be late tonight. I have a dinner with a client." "Okay, don't drink too much." "I know. I love you." After hanging up, Sarah wrapped the hair in a tissue and put it in her purse. "It's probably just a coworker he gave a ride to one day," she told herself. Don't think the worst. But once planted, the seed of doubt sprouts and takes root. After a meeting in the afternoon, Sarah suddenly had the idea to go to Michael's office. She rarely went. Michael didn't like her showing up there. He said it looked unprofessional. The receptionist knew her. "Mrs. Miller, are you looking for Michael?" "He left around noon." "Where did he go?" "I think he had a meeting with a client," the receptionist said, averting her gaze. Sarah nodded. "Thank you." She left. In the elevator, she ran into Michael's assistant, Mark. "Mrs. Miller." Mark looked surprised. "Just stopping by to say hello." Sarah smiled. "It seems Michael has been very busy lately." "Yes, quite busy, with a lot of projects." Mark couldn't look her in the eye. It was too obvious. Michael came home at 10 p.m. He smelled of alcohol, but not too much. While he was in the shower, Sarah checked his clothes. On the collar of his shirt was a smudge of women's perfume, a sweet, floral fragrance. It wasn't a brand she used. "Honey, can you pass me a towel?" Michael shouted from the bathroom. Sarah handed him the towel. Michael grabbed her hand and pulled her into the bathroom. Amidst the steam, he kissed her, a passionate kiss, like when they were newlyweds. But Sarah could smell the perfume emanating from his skin. "What's wrong?" Michael noticed the stiffness in her body. "I'm just tired," she said, pushing him away. "It's been a long day at the office." Lying in bed, Michael fell asleep quickly. Sarah stared at the ceiling with her eyes wide open. 7 years of marriage, 2 children, a seemingly perfect life. What if that hair, that perfume, those evasive glances were just coincidences? She didn't want to think about it anymore. Over the weekend, her mother-in-law said she had a high school reunion and would be taking the twins with her. Sarah wanted to join, but Sharon told her it would just be old people and she would feel out of place. "Have Michael pick you up later." "No need. My friend Brenda's son will give us a ride," Sharon said as she prepared her grandson's clothes. "We'll have dinner there too. Don't wait up for us." Sarah found it strange. Her mother-in-law rarely proposed outings with the kids, and she seemed to be deliberately excluding her. In the afternoon, Sarah was home alone, cleaning. In a drawer in her in-laws' bedroom, she found a bottle of pills, folic acid, a supplement for pregnant women. Her mother-in-law was 58. It was impossible for her to be pregnant. Who was it for? Sarah held the bottle with trembling hands. She remembered that last month her mother-in-law had said she was going to take care of a sick friend. She was gone for 3 days. When she returned, a brochure from a baby store fell out of her purse. She said someone had handed it to her on the street. All the pieces started to fit together, but she needed proof, direct, irrefutable proof. On Monday, Sarah took the day off and went to a Verizon store. Her and Michael's cell phone plan was a family plan, and the primary line was in her name. Using the excuse of having forgotten the password, she managed to get the call logs for the past 6 months. One number appeared with alarming frequency, almost daily. The calls weren't long, but they were regular. At 8 a.m., at 12:30 p.m., at 9 p.m. Sarah wrote down the number and searched for it on social media. The profile picture was a woman with her back to the camera. The name, Jessica. The profile was private, but the cover photo was a close-up of 2 intertwined hands. The man's hand wore a wristwatch identical to Michael's, a limited edition she had given him for his birthday last year. Sarah sat in the store's waiting area. Her body was cold. The air conditioning was on high, but she was sweating. 7 years. 2 children. The family she thought was happy was a huge lie. Her phone rang. It was Michael. "Honey, what do you feel like for dinner? I'll be home early tonight to cook." His voice was as tender as ever. Sarah opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She wanted to ask him who that woman was, who that child was, how long they had been together, If the whole family knew. But in the end, all she could say was, "Whatever. Is something wrong? You sound strange." "I just have a bit of a cold," Sarah said. "Well, I'll let you go. I'm busy." She needed time. She needed to plan. She needed to think about what to do next. Driving home, Sarah couldn't stop crying. A silent cry. Her vision blurred with tears. She remembered their wedding day. Michael told her he would love her for the rest of his life. She remembered when the twins were born and she almost bled to death. He cried outside the delivery room. She remembered every anniversary, the surprises he prepared for her. Was it all fake? The caresses, the promises, the days and nights? Or maybe he loved them both and wanted to have two families. Sarah wiped her tears. No, this couldn't go on. She had to uncover the whole truth, and then she would make a decision. In the following days, Sarah acted normally. She worked, took care of the children, managed the house, but she started paying attention to conversations, observing every expression. Her mother-in-law would step away to answer the phone. Her father-in-law would sometimes look at her with a hint of guilt. Michael's phone was always face down. On Friday night, while they were watching TV, Michael's phone rang. He looked at it and declined the call. "Who was it?" Sarah asked casually. "A telemarketer. They're so persistent. Well, that telemarketer is certainly insistent. You hung up, and they're still calling. You see?" Michael stood up. "I'm going to take a shower." He left his phone on the sofa. Sarah looked at the black device as if it were a bomb. She knew the password. All of Michael's passwords were the twins' birthday. She could open it at any moment and see what Jessica had written to him, but she didn't. Not out of fear, but because she wasn't ready to face it yet. On Saturday, Sarah said she had to work overtime. She left early, drove to a gated community in Oak Brook. It was the address registered to that phone number. The community was luxurious, with well-manicured gardens. Sarah parked her car on a side street and waited. She didn't know what she was waiting for, perhaps a shadow, a confirmation. Around 10 a.m., she saw Michael's car enter the community. The security guard opened the gate for him without hesitation. In the passenger seat was a woman with wavy, green hair, an attractive profile. Sarah gripped the steering wheel tightly. Her nails dug into her palm. It hurt, but not as much as her heart. She watched the car disappear among the houses. Then she started her own car and drove away without tears, without screams, with a strange calm. It was time for a confrontation, but not today. A day before their 7th anniversary, Sarah went to a law firm. She consulted about divorce, division of assets, and child custody. After hearing her story, the lawyer advised her to gather evidence first. What your husband has done is a serious breach that plays in your favor, both in the division of assets and in custody. "I want custody of my sons," Sarah said. "In the case of twins, it's often split, one for each parent. But if you have proof of serious misconduct by the other party and your financial capacity is sufficient, you can fight for both. I'll get the proof." After leaving the law firm, Sarah went to the bank. She transferred all her personal savings to a new account. These were savings from many years of work. She didn't touch the money in the joint account. If she moved it now, Michael would become suspicious. In the evening, she went to her parents' house. She didn't tell them the truth, only that she missed them. Her mother cooked a delicious dinner. Her father brought out her favorite wine. And Michael? "Why didn't he come with you?" her mother asked. "Overtime," Sarah said, pouring wine into her father's glass. "Dad, Mom, just hypothetically, only if by chance we were to get a divorce, would you support me?" Her parents froze. "Honey, what are you talking about?" her mother said, stroking her hand. "You two are doing so well. Why would you get a divorce?" "I'm just asking." Her father looked at her intently. "Sarah, has he hurt you?" "No, Dad." Sarah lowered her head and ate. "I'm just tired lately. I think silly things." That night she slept at her parents' house, lying in the bed she had grown up in, staring at the ceiling. The tears finally fell. She remembered when she was little, her father would tell her, "Honey, when you look for a husband, choose one who treats you well." She had found Michael. She thought he treated her well. Now she realized he actually treated too many people well. The next day, their anniversary, Sarah took the day off. She bought a cake and red wine. She didn't know why she was doing it, perhaps to give her marriage a decent ending. Then she arrived home earlier than expected and heard that conversation. Her mother-in-law's voice, her father-in-law's sigh, the existence of another child, the tuition of thousands of dollars, all the doubts, all the suspicions were confirmed. The moment the cake hit the floor, Sarah felt her heart break too, but she didn't go in to confront them. She didn't cry or make a scene. She stood there silently, listening to the conversation. "I'll handle Sarah," she heard Michael's voice. "He was home too. She won't find out." "You can't hide the sun with one finger," her father-in-law said. "We'll hide it as long as we can," Michael sighed. "I can't do this to Jessica. He's my son. I have to be responsible." Sarah turned around and walked away slowly. As she left the building, the sunlight blinded her. She was in the sun, but she felt a glacial cold. So that was it. Another family, another woman, another child. The whole family knew. Her in-laws, maybe even her sister-in-law. She was the only fool who knew nothing. That night, Michael came home, gave her the necklace, and said sweet words. Sarah looked at him and felt a deep revulsion. This man, this face, these hands that had held her, and also another woman that had said "I love you" to her, and also to the other one. She accepted the necklace and thanked him. Then she went to take a shower. Under the stream of water, she cried silently. After her shower, she sat in front of the mirror. She looked at herself. 35 years old, 2 children, a career, and a seemingly perfect family. Now, this family was about to collapse, but she couldn't just fall apart. She had children to protect. She had a future to fight for. Sarah opened a drawer and took out a notebook. She began to write a plan. Step 1, gather evidence. Step 2, secure financial stability. Step 3, find a good lawyer. Step 4, the confrontation. But the most important thing of all was the children. The twins were her life. She couldn't afford to lose them. When Michael entered the room, Sarah was already in bed. "Honey, are you asleep?" he asked in a whisper. "Not yet." Michael got into bed and hugged her from behind. Sarah's body tensed, but she didn't push him away. "There's a new project at the office. I might be very busy," Michael said. "I might have to work on weekends too. I'm sorry we didn't celebrate our anniversary properly." "It's okay," Sarah said. It really was okay, because from now on, their marriage was dead. In the darkness, Sarah's eyes were wide open. She remembered when they were dating and Michael would pick her up from work every day. She remembered when he proposed, his hands trembling with nerves. She remembered when their sons were born, how he held her and said, "Thank you for everything you went through." Those beautiful memories were now sharp knives piercing her heart, one by one, but she couldn't break down. For her children, she had to be strong. The next day, Sarah requested her annual vacation. She said she wanted to take the kids on a trip. Michael suspected nothing. He even gave her a credit card. "Have a great time. If you need more money, just let me know." Sarah accepted the card, laughing bitterly inside. Maybe this was his way of compensating for his guilt, but she didn't need that. She needed the truth, evidence, and the strength to fight. Sarah took the twins to a nearby state. At the hotel, she sent a text message to that number. "I'm Michael's wife. We need to talk." There was no reply. Sarah had expected that. She began to organize the evidence she had. Screenshots of the call logs, the woman's profile, the photo of the folic acid from her mother-in-law's drawer, and the photo of Michael's car in the gated community. It wasn't enough. She needed more direct evidence to prove Michael had another family, to prove his infidelity. 3 days later, at the hotel, Sarah returned home with the children. Everything seemed normal, but she knew that something had changed forever. She started paying attention to the family assets. The deed to the house was in both their names, but her in-laws had made the down payment. The car was in Michael's name. Most of the savings were in the joint account. If they divorced, how much would she be entitled to? And most importantly, the children. Michael would not give up custody easily, especially of the twins. They were the family's treasure. Sarah researched online, consulted lawyer friends, The conclusion: if she could prove serious misconduct by Michael and had sufficient financial capacity, she had a good chance of getting custody of the twins. Financial capacity? No problem. She had a stable job, a good salary, and her own savings. Proof of misconduct? She needed more. A week later, an opportunity arose. Michael said he had a 3-day business trip. Sarah checked his flight information. Indeed, he had a flight, but she still drove to the airport. She waited in the parking garage. Michael's car arrived. In the passenger seat was that woman. This time, Sarah saw her face clearly. Young, maybe around 28, pretty, with a gentle demeanor. Sarah followed them inside, keeping her distance. Michael and the woman had no physical contact, but they walked together, talking in whispers like a close couple. While they were checking in, the woman handed over her ID. Sarah took a photo from a distance with her phone. She zoomed in on the image and saw the name, Jessica Cruz. It was her. Sarah didn't follow them any further. She got in her car and left. She cried for a long time. The last shred of hope had vanished. Michael and that woman were truly together. They even went on business trips. Upon returning home, Sarah began to act. She hired a private investigator to look into Jessica. The money came from her own account. She couldn't leave a trace. 3 days later, the investigator sent her the report. Jessica Cruz, 28, freelance illustrator. She met Michael 4 years ago. 3 years ago, she gave birth to a daughter, who was now 2.5. Michael had bought her a condo in Chicago in Jessica's name. He gave her a monthly allowance of $3,000. The little girl attended a private daycare with an annual tuition of $15,000. The report included photos of Jessica with her daughter, photos of Michael holding the little girl, photos of the 3 of them together in a park. In the photos, Michael's smile was radiant. A smile Sarah hadn't seen in a long time. He wasn't busy with work. He wasn't stressed. He was simply dedicating his time and his smiles to another family. Sarah looked at the photos. Her heart was numb. When the pain is extreme, you stop feeling it. She kept reading. The investigator had obtained screenshots from Jessica's social media. There were photos of Michael with the girl on her birthday, photos of them on trips, photos of Michael cooking in the kitchen at midnight. The captions were always warm. "My love is tired. So lucky to have you. Our little family." Sarah remembered that when she posted something, Michael rarely liked or commented. He said he wasn't much of a social media person. It wasn't that he wasn't, it was that he didn't want to appear in her life. At the end of the report were Michael's bank statements, regular transfers to Jessica each month, varying amounts, and one major expense, the purchase of a car for Jessica. Sarah did the math. In 4 years, Michael had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his other family, and she, naive, thought he was working himself to the bone, saving up, wanting to buy a bigger house. What a cruel irony. She closed the report. Sarah sat in the darkness. Outside, the city lights twinkled. Every lit window was a family. She used to have one too. Now she knew it had been broken for a long time. The day Michael returned from his business trip, Sarah prepared a delicious dinner. The twins were delighted, telling him what they had done over the past few days. Michael brought gifts for the children and a new dress for Sarah. "Thank you," she said, taking it and setting it aside. "Don't you like it?" Michael asked. "Yes, I like it. Let's have dinner." At the table, Michael talked about how successful the business trip had been, how he had secured a big contract. Sarah listened in silence, wondering if Jessica was also at the celebration dinner. At night, after the children were asleep, Sarah was in the home office organizing documents. Michael came in. "Honey, you've been so busy these days." He hugged her from behind. "It's nothing. Is there a problem?" Michael sensed her change. "No, I'm just tired," she said, pulling away. Michael looked at her. There was a complex emotion in his eyes. For a moment, Sarah thought he was going to confess everything. But in the end, he just said, "Get some rest." Sarah knew he wouldn't confess. He wanted to have 2 families, 2 women, 2 sets of children. He was enjoying the situation. Why would he break it? Fine, then she would break it for him. From that day on, I began to secretly prepare my escape. The twins' passports, Birth certificates, my bank statements, and copies of all the evidence. I stored them in a safe deposit box at the bank. I submitted my resignation at work, using my remaining vacation and sick days to extend the notice period. No one noticed anything unusual. Michael's other daughter was hospitalized. He didn't come home for 3 days. My mother-in-law let it slip. Poor little thing. She's always getting sick. My father-in-law shot her a glare, but it was too late. I smiled as I packed the twins' suitcases. Mom's taking you to Florida. How does that sound? They shouted with joy. I took one last look at the house where I had lived for 7 years. With my children's hands in mine, I left without looking back. I turned off my phone, cutting off all communication. 3 hours later, Michael called my mother-in-law's phone. He was furious. Sarah and the children were gone, and I was already at the airport on the other side of the country, holding 3 tickets to Sarasota, Florida. From now on, it was a new us. As the plane took off, Ethan and Liam looked out the window excitedly, watching the clouds. Sarah sat between them, hugging her 2 sons. Her heart was at peace, a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Mommy, how many days are we staying?" Liam asked. "Until you get tired of it," Sarah said. "Is Dad not coming?" "Dad is very busy with work." Sarah stroked his hair. "Isn't Mommy enough for you?" "Yes," the 2 boys said in unison. Sarah smiled. In the midst of the smile, her eyes welled up. She remembered the photo from the investigator's report of Michael with his other daughter at a resort. Now it was her turn to take her children to a place free of lies. When the plane landed in Sarasota, it was already dark. It was near the beach, so they could go straight there the next morning. After bathing and putting the children to bed, Sarah turned on the new phone she had bought and put in a new SIM card. The old phone was off and had been thrown in a trash can at the airport. In the new phone, there was only one contact, her lawyer. "Lawyer. We've arrived," she wrote. "Good. Stick to the plan. Call me if there are any problems." Sarah put the phone down and went out onto the balcony. The night in Florida was warm and humid. The sea breeze caressed her face. She took a deep breath, savoring a long-lost freedom. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, chaos reigned. Michael got home at 8 p.m. He had just come from the hospital. Jessica's daughter had a high fever, and he had been taking care of her for 3 days. He was tired, but calm. He had managed to take care of both his families. When he opened the door, the house was dark. "Sarah! Kids!" he shouted. No one answered. He turned on the light. The living room was spotless. On the table, a note in Sarah's handwriting. "Michael, I've taken the children. Don't look for us." That was it. No mention of where, no return date. A knot formed in Michael's stomach. He called Sarah's cell phone, it was off. He called his parents. They knew nothing. He called Sarah's friends. They hadn't been in contact with her. A bad feeling washed over him. He ran to the bedroom and opened the closet. Sarah's usual clothes were missing. 2 of the twins' suitcases were gone. He went to the office. Sarah's important documents were missing. Their marriage certificate was still there, but Sarah's passport was gone. Michael collapsed into the chair. His mind was blank. Sarah knew. How long had she known? How much did she know? His phone rang. It was his mother, Sharon. "Michael, are Sarah and the kids with you? Her phone is off. I can't reach her." She left a note. "She says she's taken the kids." Michael's voice was dry. "What?" Sharon screamed. "Where did they go? When are they coming back? Why didn't you stop her? How was I supposed to stop her? I didn't even know she was leaving. Is it because of the other thing? Did she find out?" Sharon asked in a whisper. Michael was silent. Other than that, there was no other explanation. After hanging up, Michael leaned back in his chair. For years, he had been careful. He thought he was balancing everything perfectly. Sarah was obedient. Jessica was understanding. There were no problems on either front. He had even thought that when Jessica's daughter was a little older, he would find an opportunity for Sarah to gradually accept the situation. Now, it was all over. Jessica called. Her voice was tearful. "Michael, the doctor says they need to admit her. I'm scared to be alone." "I'm on my way," Michael said. "Are you okay? You sound strange." "I'm fine," Michael massaged his temples. I'm on my way. After hanging up, he looked at the empty house. For 7 years, this place had always been warm with the children's laughter, with Sarah's presence. Now he was alone. He remembered the last look Sarah had given him. Serene, but cold. It wasn't serenity. It was the resignation that comes after despair. Michael grabbed his car keys and rushed out. He wanted to go to the hospital, but even more, he wanted to find Sarah. But where to look? Where would Sarah go? To her parents' house? With her friends? Or had she found out about Jessica and was looking for her? At this thought, Michael swerved and drove toward Jessica's condo. When Jessica opened the door, she was surprised to see Michael's pale face. "Michael, what happened?" Michael walked in and looked around. No sign of Sarah. "Has she been here?" "Who? Your wife?" she asked. "No." Jessica looked confused. "Why would she come here?" Michael breathed a sigh of relief, but his heart felt even heavier. Sarah hadn't gone looking for Jessica. Where had she gone then? Taking the children, cutting off all communication. It was a sign of a complete break. What happened? Jessica took his hand. Sarah left with the children. I don't know where. Michael sat down, devastated. Jessica froze. She knew Michael had a family, but she never imagined his wife would suddenly disappear. From what she knew, that woman was supposed to be weak, submissive, someone who wouldn't dare to rebel. "She knows," Jessica whispered. "I guess so." "What are we going to do?" Michael shook his head. He didn't know what to do either. Report it to the police? Sarah was the children's mother. Leaving with her own kids wasn't a crime. Hire a private investigator? That would take time, and if Sarah was hiding, it would be hard to find her. His phone rang again. His father, Richard. "Come home immediately." "Your mother fainted." When Michael got home, Sharon was lying in bed, her face pale. Richard sat beside her with a serious expression. "What happened?" Michael asked. "Look what you've done," Richard snapped. "I told you a long time ago this couldn't be hidden. Now Sarah is gone, and she's taken the children." "Dad, it's no use saying that now. We need to find her." "Find her where?" "Sarah seems quiet, but she's very stubborn. If she's decided to leave, no one will find her." Sharon woke up and grabbed her son's hand. "Michael, you have to find my grandsons. They carry our family's blood." "I know, Mom," Michael said. "But how?" Sarah's social circle was simple. Her parents, a few friends, co-workers. Michael called them one by one. The answer was the same. They didn't know. Sarah's parents, in fact, knew nothing. Sarah had only told them she was going on vacation with the kids. She didn't say where or when she would be back. "Michael, did you do something to Sarah?" his father-in-law asked over the phone. His tone was harsh. "No, sir. I didn't." "Then why would she suddenly leave with the children without telling us anything?" His mother-in-law snatched the phone. "Michael, I'm telling you, if anything happens to Sarah, I will never forgive you." Michael hung up. His head was throbbing. Sarah's parents didn't know. Her friends didn't know. Her coworkers said she was on vacation. All leads had vanished. It was late at night. Michael was alone in the living room. He thought back over the last 7 years. Sarah was a good wife, a good mother. She took care of the family, supported his career, never complained. And what had he given her in return? Lies, betrayal, another family. Now she was gone with the children. It was the punishment he deserved, but they were his children. He couldn't lose them. Ethan and Liam, the twins he had raised, his pride. Michael picked up his phone and called a private investigator friend. "Help me find someone. It's urgent." "Who?" "My wife. She left with our 2 sons this afternoon." His friend was silent on the other end. "Michael, your wife has been gone for less than 24 hours. The police won't consider it a missing persons case. That's why I'm calling you," Michael said. "Money is no object. Find them as soon as possible." "Okay. Send me the details." After hanging up, Michael began to gather Sarah's information. Social security number, passport number, cell phone number, car license plate. Only then did he realize how little he knew about Sarah. He didn't know who her best friends were, where she liked to go, what she did when she was sad. 7 years of marriage, and he had only accepted what she gave him, but he had never truly known her. At 3 a.m., the investigator sent him a message. Your wife's credit card was used at the airport this afternoon. She bought tickets to New Orleans. New Orleans. Michael's mind cleared. Sarah had gone to New Orleans with the kids. Can you find out the exact flight? I'm looking into it. I need time. Michael couldn't wait. He booked the first flight to New Orleans, departing at 6 a.m. As he packed his bag, he hesitated. Should he tell Jessica? Her daughter was still in the hospital. In the end, he just sent a text. I have a business trip for a few days. Call me if you need anything. Jessica didn't reply. At 5 a.m., Michael was at the airport. Before boarding, the investigator sent another message. I found out the tickets your wife bought were for Sarasota, Florida, not New Orleans. Sarasota. An island city. Far from New Orleans. Why would Sarah go there? Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I've sent you the booking screenshot. Michael looked at the screenshot. Indeed, Sarah's passport number and the destination was Sarasota. He changed his flight immediately, but the first flight to Sarasota wasn't until the afternoon. Sitting in the departure lounge, Michael called Sarah's parents. He told them Sarah might have gone to Sarasota. Sarasota? What would she be doing there? His mother-in-law asked. I don't know. If Sarah calls you, please tell me immediately. The children can't grow up without a father. Now you realize the children can't be without a father, his father-in-law said coldly. What have you been doing all this time? He hung up. Michael held the phone, his heart frozen. Sarah's parents had once loved him. Now their attitude had changed. That meant Sarah had probably already told them the truth. The plane took off at 2 p.m. and arrived in Sarasota at 4 p.m. As soon as he got off, Michael turned on his phone. He had a message from the investigator. Your wife checked into a hotel in Sarasota. I'm sending you the address. Michael took a taxi straight to the hotel. On the way, he imagined the scene when he saw Sarah. He would apologize, explain, beg for her forgiveness. He would tell her he loved her, that he loved the children, and that he couldn't live without them. Upon arriving at the hotel, Michael went straight to the reception desk. I'm looking for Sarah Miller. She's with twin boys. They should have checked in here. The receptionist checked the system. I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have any guests by that name. They just checked in. Sir? Really? We don't. Michael showed her the hotel address the investigator had sent. It's this hotel. Please check again. The receptionist looked again and shook her head. Really, sir? We don't have any guests. Did she use another name? Michael froze. Use another name? Where would she get another ID? The investigator called. Michael, I found out your wife did book a room at that hotel, but she never checked in. She used your credit card to make the reservation. It was probably a decoy. What do you mean? She probably used your card on purpose to book that hotel and make you come to Sarasota, but she's actually somewhere else. Out of rage, Michael almost threw his phone. Sarah was playing games with him. She had deliberately left him a clue to follow her to Florida while she was somewhere else. Where was she now? I'm investigating. Her phone is off, and she's no longer using the credit card. It's hard to track. Michael stood in the hotel lobby, watching people come and go. Suddenly, he felt powerless. Sarah had a plan. She had been planning this for a long time. Every step was calculated, and he, like a fool, fell into her trap. Night fell. Michael walked aimlessly through the streets of Sarasota. He didn't know where to start looking. He didn't know what Sarah and the children were doing. Had they eaten? Were they sleeping well? Did the children miss their father? Suddenly, a possibility occurred to Michael. Had Sarah gone abroad? She had her passport, and she had gotten the children's passports the year before for future trips. If they had gone abroad, it would be even harder to find them. He immediately called the investigator. Check immigration records. Is there any record of Sarah and the 2 children leaving the country? That will require a court order. Just try. The wait was torture. Michael checked into a hotel and didn't sleep all night. He replayed Sarah's behavior over the past few months, looking for any signs. When did she start suspecting? When did she start planning? Why hadn't he noticed anything? The next morning, the investigator called. I checked. There's no record of them leaving the country. Your wife and children are still in the United States." Michael breathed a sigh of relief. They were still in the country. There was still hope of finding them. But the investigator continued. "I found out that a month ago, your wife opened a safe deposit box at a bank. The address is here in Sarasota." Sarasota. A month ago. Sarah had already come to Sarasota. "What's in the safe deposit box?" "I don't know. It requires her presence or an authorization to open." Michael went to the bank immediately, but as the investigator had said, without Sarah's authorization, he couldn't open the box. It was a clue. A month ago, Sarah came to Sarasota to open a safe deposit box. That meant she had planned her escape well in advance. So, it was possible she had a place to stay here. Michael began his search in Sarasota. He went to real estate agencies, asking if a woman named Sarah Miller had rented or bought a house. He went to schools, asking if a pair of twin boys had enrolled. He found nothing. On the third day, just as Michael was about to lose hope, the investigator gave him another clue. "I found out that Sarah has a cousin here in Sarasota, Anna Garcia. Apparently, they are very close. It's possible she's with her." Michael remembered Sarah had a cousin in Sarasota, but they barely saw each other. They had met at his wedding, but there had been no communication since. "Send me the address." Michael followed the address to an old apartment building. He knocked on Anna's door. A middle-aged woman opened it. "Who are you? Is Anna here?" "I'm Sarah's husband." The woman's expression became guarded. "Sarah? I don't know her. She's your cousin. How can you not know her?" Michael said desperately. "Anna, I know Sarah might be here. Please, tell me where she is. She has my sons." "I already told you. I don't know her." Anna tried to close the door. Michael blocked it with his foot. "Anna, please, let me see my sons. I'm their father. I miss them." "You miss them?" Anna laughed bitterly. "Where were you when they missed you?" "With another woman." "Michael, Sarah told me everything. You have another family, another child. And now you remember you have children here?" Michael's face turned red. Sarah had told Anna, "It's a misunderstanding. I can explain." "There's nothing to explain," Anna said coldly. "Sarah is not here, and I don't know where she is. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you." She slammed the door shut. Michael was left outside. The last shred of hope had vanished. Sarah had even confided in her cousin. Her plan was meticulous. It was possible she really wasn't coming back. Michael stayed in Sarasota for 2 more days. Every day, he waited outside Anna's apartment, hoping to see Sarah or the children. But the apartment was silent. No one came in or out. On the 5th day, Michael had to leave. The office was calling. Jessica's daughter had been discharged from the hospital and needed care. Back in Chicago, everything was the same, yet different. The house was empty, without the laughter of the children, without Sarah's presence. Michael sat on the sofa, looking at what was once a warm home. For the first time, he felt regret. He had been wrong. So very wrong. He thought he could have 2 families, that he could balance 2 women. Now he had none. Jessica's daughter needed a father. But Michael's heart had already flown to wherever his twins were. He picked up his phone and sent a message to Sarah's old number. "Sarah, forgive me. Where are you? Let me see our sons. Please." Message delivery failed. That number was no longer active. Michael put down his phone, covered his face with his hands. Tears slipped through his fingers. He had lost them. He had lost them forever. Spring comes early in Florida. By late February, the trees are already in bloom. The apartment Sarah had rented was in a nice community with a playground, a swimming pool, and a library. The twins adapted quickly to their new environment. With Sarah's help, they enrolled in a good private school nearby. "Mom, why are we studying here in Florida?" Ethan asked. "Because Mom found a new job here." Sarah stroked his hair. "Do you like it here?" "Yes, the new school is really big, and the teachers are very nice," Liam said. "But I miss Dad a little." Sarah's heart ached. She knew the children would miss their father. It was inevitable, but she couldn't take them back to an environment full of lies. "Dad is very busy with work. When he has time, he'll come to see you," Sarah lied. Once the children were settled, Sarah began to deal with legal matters. Her lawyer flew from Chicago to Sarasota with the divorce papers. Michael has received the court summons, the lawyer said. He agrees to the divorce but is asking for custody of the children. Impossible, Sarah said firmly. I know. We have enough evidence to prove his misconduct, and your financial capacity is more than sufficient to care for both children. The lawyer opened the documents. Here is the list of assets. According to the law, you are entitled to half. I only want what's mine, Sarah said. He can have the house, but I want half the savings and the money he gave to that woman. That's a transfer of marital assets. I want it back. We are gathering evidence on that, the lawyer nodded. The condo and car in Jessica's name were purchased with your marital assets. We can demand their return. Sarah looked out the window. In the community park, children were playing. She could hear their laughter. Her sons were downstairs, playing with their new friends. A new life had begun. The first week of March, the first court hearing, Sarah did not attend. Her lawyer represented her. Michael came with his lawyer. The hearing was tense. Michael's lawyer insisted that Michael was not at fault and demanded custody of the twins. Sarah's lawyer presented the evidence: call logs, bank statements, photos of Jessica and her daughter, and the flight records of Michael and Jessica. Michael turned pale. He hadn't expected Sarah to have gathered so much evidence. This evidence was obtained illegally, Michael's lawyer argued. It was obtained legally and has been notarized, the lawyer said calmly. And we have a witness who can prove that Mr. Miller maintained another de facto relationship analogous to marriage. A witness. Michael was stunned. The door opened. Jessica walked in. She looked at Michael with a complex emotion in her eyes, then walked to the stand. You! Michael couldn't believe it. I'm sorry, Michael, Jessica whispered. They found me. They told me that if I didn't testify, they would sue me for misappropriation of marital assets. I can't go to jail. My daughter needs me. Michael slumped in his chair. His last defense had crumbled. Jessica testified. She admitted she had been with Michael for 4 years and that they had a daughter, that Michael gave her a monthly allowance and paid for the girl's education, that they lived like a couple, and that the neighbors thought they were married. The evidence was clear. The facts were clear. The judge adjourned the hearing and would issue a ruling at a later date. Leaving the courthouse, Michael was surrounded by reporters. Someone had leaked the story. The local media had gotten wind of the double-life divorce case. Sir, is it true you have 2 families? What do you think of your wife's actions? Which children will you fight for? Michael pushed past the reporters and left quickly. For the first time, he felt what it was like to have his reputation destroyed. When he got home, his parents were waiting. How did it go? Sharon asked. Jessica testified. Michael smiled bitterly. We lost. That ungrateful wretch, Sharon cursed. You fed her, you supported her, and now she bites the hand that feeds her. Mom, stop, Michael said wearily. I was wrong. I was wrong from the beginning. Richard sighed. Michael, it's too late to say that now. The important thing now is how to keep our grandsons. We won't get them, Michael shook his head. Sarah has enough evidence, and my misconduct is clear. The judge won't give me both children. Then fight for one, Sharon said. They're twins, one for each. It's fair. Fair. Michael wanted to laugh. Had he been fair to Sarah? Had he been fair to Jessica? Had he been fair to his children? All he wanted now was a chance to see his sons and apologize. A few days later, the lawyer called Sarah. She told her that Michael had agreed to the divorce and was giving up custody of the children. He was only asking for visitation rights. He's willing to give you the house and half the savings. He just asks that you let him see the children, the lawyer said. Sarah thought about it. I accept the visits, but under my supervision, and without that woman and her daughter present. Put it in writing in the agreement, and he has to sign a commitment not to interfere in our lives. Of course, the first week of April, the divorce agreement was formally signed. Sarah received half the value of the house, half the savings, and part of the money Michael had spent on Jessica's condo and car. When Michael signed, his hand was trembling. 7 years of marriage were over. Can I see my sons? He asked the lawyer. Mrs. Miller says that once the children have adapted to their new environment, she will arrange a visit. Michael nodded, tears in his eyes. May. Sarah bought a small condo in Sarasota. It wasn't large, but it was enough. The community was nice, and the school was good too. The twins were already used to their new life. They had new friends. They joined a soccer team and painting classes. They were happy every day. On weekends, Sarah took them to the beach. The boys ran on the sand, their laughter mingling with the sun. Mommy, look at the shell I found. Ethan ran over. It's beautiful. Sarah took the shell. Mommy, when are we going back to Chicago? Liam asked. Do you miss Chicago? Yes. I miss Grandpa and Grandma. And Dad. Sarah stroked his hair. We'll go visit in the summer, okay? Okay. Sarah looked at her sons with a heart full of gratitude. Thanks to them being so strong. Thanks to them adapting so quickly. Thanks to them still being cheerful and loving children. The last week of June, Sarah arranged a meeting between Michael and the children at a family restaurant in Sarasota. Michael arrived half an hour early. He was nervous, his hands sweaty. He kept looking at his watch. He hadn't seen his sons in 3 months. Had they grown? Had they gained or lost weight? Would they remember their father? When Sarah arrived with the children, Michael's eyes instantly turned red. Dad! The twins ran to hug him. Michael hugged his 2 sons tightly. Tears fell. He smelled his children, the familiar scent, the scent of home. Dad, where have you been? You haven't come to see us in a long time, Ethan said. Dad has been very busy with work. Michael's voice was choked. Mom says you live here in Florida now, that you can come see us often, Liam said. Yes, boys. Dad will come see you often. Michael looked at Sarah. Thank you. Sarah nodded and sat at another table, giving them space. Michael played with the children. They ate ice cream. He told them stories. For 3 months, he hadn't dared to ask about Sarah, about her future plans. 2 hours flew by. Sarah approached. Kids, it's time to go. Dad, when will you be back? Ethan asked. Next month. I promise, Michael said. Pinky promise? Pinky promise. The children said goodbye to their father and left with their mother. Michael stood outside the restaurant, watching them walk away until they were lost in the crowd. He took out his phone and sent a message to Sarah. Asterisk. Thank you. The children are doing great. You've taken such good care of them. Asterisk, Sarah replied. They're my sons. Short but clear. Her sons. They would always be her sons. Summer. Sarah took the children to Chicago to visit their grandparents. Michael went too. Under the supervision of Sarah's parents, he spent a day with the children. Sarah's parents treated Michael coldly, but for the sake of the children, they allowed him to visit. What do you plan to do with your life? His former father-in-law asked him. Work hard. Be a good person, Michael said. I am so sorry. Apologize to Sarah, his former mother-in-law said. We just want Sarah and the children to be okay. Michael nodded. He knew there were mistakes that couldn't be corrected, wounds that would never heal. All he could do was respect Sarah's decision and fulfill his duty as a father. August. Sarah's position at her new job in Sarasota became permanent, a manager at a multinational corporation, higher salary than before, better work environment. She rented a small office and began taking on freelance translation projects. It was her major in college, long forgotten. Now she was picking it up again. Life was busy but fulfilling. Work, caring for the children, hobbies on the weekends, and occasional get-togethers with friends. The smile returned to Sarah's face, a smile that came from the heart light and free. September. The children started 2nd grade. Sarah went to the parent-teacher conference. Sitting in the classroom, looking at her son's chairs, her heart filled with emotion. Mrs. Miller, the teacher said, Ethan and Liam have adapted very well. They get along with their classmates and are doing great in their studies. Thank you, teacher. But the teacher hesitated. Sometimes they say they miss their father. Sarah's heart sank. I'll keep that in mind. On the way home, Sarah asked the children, Do you miss Dad? Ethan nodded. Dad said he would come see us every month, but he hasn't come this month yet. Sarah sent a message to Michael. The kids miss you. When are you coming this month? Michael replied quickly. Can I come this weekend? You can. That weekend, Michael came. He took the children to the Science Museum. To the amusement park. They played all day. When he brought the children back in the evening, he handed Sarah an envelope. What's this? This month's child support, Michael said. From now on, I'll deposit it into your account on the 1st of every month. Sarah accepted it. Thank you. Sarah, Michael said hesitantly, is there anything else you want to say? Jessica went back to her hometown with her daughter. We broke up. Sarah was silent for a moment but said nothing. I know it's meaningless to say this now, but I want you to know, I was wrong. I shouldn't have cheated on you. I shouldn't have hurt you. Michael's voice was low. I hope you'll be happy. Truly. I will be, Sarah said. Michael nodded and turned to leave. Sarah watched his back. For the first time, she felt that maybe time could heal some things. Not forgiveness, not forgetting, but letting go. October. Sarah met a new friend in Sarasota, the father of one of her son's classmates. His name was David, and he was also a single parent. He had a daughter. They met at the parent-teacher conference. After a few conversations, they found they got along well. David was a university professor, kind and polite. He was also good with children. It's not easy raising 2 kids on your own, David said. I've gotten used to it, Sarah smiled. You don't have it easy either with a daughter. Well, we can help each other out, David said. On the weekends, we could take the kids to play together. That way, they'll have company too. Sarah thought about it and agreed. She needed a social life. Her children needed friends too. That weekend, the 2 families went out together. David's daughter, Maya, was 7, quiet and pretty. She got along with the twins right away. Sarah and David sat on the grass. Does your ex-husband come often? David asked. Once a month, Sarah said. He's behaving well now. Pays child support on time, visits on time. That's good, David said. Whatever the relationship between the parents, the children shouldn't be affected. Sarah nodded. She thought the same. That's why she allowed Michael to come. She allowed the children to maintain contact with their father. It was for the children, not for Michael. November. Sarah landed a big project and earned a good sum. She took the children on a trip. They went to the place they had always wanted to visit, Disneyland. In front of the castle, the twins posed for photos excitedly. Sarah watched them. She remembered herself a year ago in that cold house, listening to her mother-in-law talk about another child's tuition. Now, all of that was over. She had a new life, a new job, new friends. Her children were healthy and happy. That was the greatest happiness. Christmas. David confessed his feelings to Sarah. I know we haven't known each other for long, but to me, you are a good woman, a good mother, David said seriously. I want to be with you. Let's take care of the children together. Sarah didn't answer right away. She needed time. She needed to think. The wounds from her previous marriage were still there. She was afraid to start a new relationship. Give me time to think about it, she said. Of course. I'll wait. New Year's. Sarah took the children to Chicago to celebrate with her parents. Her mother prepared a lavish New Year's Eve dinner. Sarah, you've lost weight, her mother said. She looks more beautiful. Sarah smiled. And how are things with that David? Her father asked. He's a good person, and he's good with the kids. Well, think about it, her mother said. You're still young. You can't be alone for the rest of your life. Sarah nodded. She knew her parents were worried about her, but she had her own pace. After New Year's, they returned to Sarasota. Life went on. Work, caring for the children, occasional dates with David. Slowly, following the flow of life. Spring. Sarah's translation agency was officially established. She quit her job at the multinational corporation to focus on her own business. It was tough, but free and fulfilling. For the twins' 8th birthday, Michael flew from Chicago to celebrate with them. He brought gifts, a cake, and a letter. This is for you. Read it after Dad has gone, Michael said. The children blew out the candles, cut the cake. They were very happy. Michael watched them with tears in his eyes. Sarah, thank you, he said. For what? Thank you for raising them so well, Michael said. And thank you for still letting me see them. Sarah said nothing. She was doing it for the children, not for Michael. After Michael left, the children opened the letter. It was long. Michael wrote about how much he missed them, his regrets, and his promises for the future. Dad says he'll always love us, Ethan said. Sarah stroked his hair. Dad will always love you, and Mom will always love you too. We love Mommy. The two boys hugged her. Sarah held them close. Her heart was full of gratitude, thankful for this trial that had made her stronger, thankful for her children who had given her the strength to start over. Summer. Sarah accepted David's marriage proposal. There was no big wedding, just a simple celebration with their two families. The children were happy. They said they now had a sister. On their wedding day, Sarah posted on her social media, "A new beginning, grateful for everything." The photo was a portrait of the four of them. Michael liked it and commented, "Congratulations," Sarah replied. "Thank you." Two simple words that contained all the release and forgiveness. Autumn. Sarah's agency landed a huge project. She was very busy, but no matter how busy she was, she always made time for her children, for her husband. Life was hectic, but happy. Every day was filled with hope. Christmas. Sarah took the children to bring gifts to her former in-laws. Sharon had aged. Seeing her grandsons, tears streamed down her face. "Grandma, don't cry." Ethan wiped her tears. "We miss you. We'll come see you often." When they left, Richard walked them downstairs. "Sarah, forgive us for before," he said. "It's in the past," Sarah said. "Take care of yourselves." Yes, it was in the past. The deceit, the pain, the tears were all in the past. The Sarah of now had a career, a family, a husband who loved her, and adorable children. She had walked through the darkest path and finally found the light. In the car on the way back, the children were asleep. David took Sarah's hand. "Are you tired?" "No." Sarah leaned on his shoulder. "I'm happy." Outside the window, the city lights shone brightly. Every lit window was a home. Sarah also had her own home. This time it was real, complete, and full of love. She remembered that night a year ago, full of despair. She left with her children. Back then, she didn't know where to go. She only knew she had to leave. Now she was grateful to her brave self from back then, thankful for not giving up, for not letting herself be defeated, for choosing dignity and freedom. Perhaps this is life. There are losses, there are gains, there is pain, there is joy, there are endings, and there are beginnings. And Sarah's story had only just begun. When a marriage becomes a beautiful lie, leaving is not an escape, but the greatest salvation. A mother's strength is not measured by her endurance, but by her courage to protect a new beginning after discovering the truth. True family is not bound by blood, but by those who choose to stand by your side in the midst of the storm. The woman who emerged from a double life rebuilt her own kingdom on her own terms. This time, the walls were made of dignity, and the crown was made of self-love. Dear listeners who have accompanied me until the end of my story, how did you find today's tale? I'm curious about the impression it has left in your hearts and the thoughts it has sparked in you. Please feel free to share your impressions and opinions in the comments. I will carefully read each of them. The likes and subscriptions you give me are the greatest source of strength and motivation for creating better stories in the future. Please don't forget to do so. I sincerely wish that your life is always filled with happiness and good fortune, and that the warm light in your hearts never fades.